Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where leaders inspire leaders. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Leong, and with me is my co-host, Carrie Leong.
Thank you, Evan. Today's guest is BJ Kobayashi, President and CEO of the Kobayashi Group, a boutique real estate development firm. Current developments include 375-home Kukio Golf and Beach Club, 248-unit Hokua high-rise, and 205-unit St Regis at Wailea. BJ is a co-founder of the Gift Foundation of Hawaii, trustee of the Nature Conversancy, and board member of Ahahui Koa Anuinui. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, BJ Kobayashi. Thanks for being here, BJ.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So you have a law degree from Georgetown. How did you get started in real estate development?
You know, I've been around real estate, construction, development my whole life. When I was, first of all, my grandfather started Albert C. Kobayashi Inc., which is one of the largest construction companies here in Hawaii. So from the time I was a little kid, I've always been around it. My first job was a laborer at the Moana Hotel, the last big renovation they did. And so I've always just been around real estate. And I'm one of those kids where, one of the rare kids where I always knew that I wanted to be a real estate developer, investor. There was never a question in my mind as to what I wanted to do. So although I went to law school and I still use a law degree to this day to my benefit in real estate, I never did plan on practicing law per se. So I got my start in real estate through birth.
Did you actually practice law for a while, or you went straight into
I went straight in.
business?
Literally the day after I graduated from Georgetown Law Center, next day I was in the office at 3 o'clock working in real estate deals.
What was it that attracted you to the job?
Well, first of all, Kobayashi Group, you know, again, it's a family company. So my brother, who was out of school a year before me, was already there. My dad and uncles were already there. So really, my last name entitled me to the position and to this job. So it's not like I found it or I sourced it myself. So what attracted me was basically that was a family business, and I've always wanted to be in development.
Did you have a hard time proving yourself? I mean, with the staff there, do they think that, oh, this is boss's son coming in? And
Absolutely. That was my biggest problem. One of my biggest challenges starting out when I was just 25, 26 years old was my age and the market. First of all, the market wasn't a very good market for real estate developers.
What year was that?
It was 96.
Okay.
So the mid-90s. The 90s in general were not good for Hawaii, as you can remember, and the late 90s were even worse. So for the first 4 or 5 years, it was a real struggle for me. But more importantly, the age factor was a big detriment. I mean, because I was given a high position and people felt like, and it was true, that I didn't really earn it. I didn't have the credibility experience.
How'd you get by that? How did you prove to them that you were qualified for this?
I proved it over the years, and mainly through not relying on my dad and his brothers and their reputation in the business world. I really took on the challenges myself, went to the meetings myself, and sourced deals by myself, and didn't ask for help or assistance. And my brother and sister do the same thing. So
you started creating RAIN. You brought in projects.
Yeah, that's my job. My job is to create revenue and profit for the company. Yeah.
And was your father super excited about you joining the company, or?
He was.
He was.
Yeah, he was. He always wanted to have my brother and sister and I all be in the real estate business with him, and but he never wanted to be involved day to day, and he really isn't. I mean, 100% of the company is owned by myself, my 2 siblings, and my partner Kathy Inoue, who's a tremendous talent as well. And so he gives sort of an ambassadorial feel to the company and provides guidance. But as far as running the day-to-day, it's us 4 that run it.
And growing up, do you feel that he prepared you for the position? I mean, you went right in right after you're finished with law school.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. My parents are the absolute best parents in the world. I mean, I had every head start you could imagine. You know, Punahou, the right schools, the right education, the right jobs in the summertime. So my life prepared me perfectly for what I'm doing right now.
So what was the most important thing you think you learned from your father?
Oh, there's a lot. If I had to choose the most important thing...
Or just take the top 3.
Top 3, okay. I guess in ascending order, I guess number 3 would be to be a man of your word, which is just as important as number 1. But he really emphasizes to me that when you make a deal or have an agreement, even if it's not in writing, that you should honor it. And I think that's very important. And we only work with people that have that sort of mentality towards business. I guess number 2, going up the line, would be, you know, that you need to incentivize people that work with you, that they have to have an ongoing interest in what you're doing. And number 1 that he's always taught me was to be a big risk taker. So if you do something, do it big, you know, do it to the best of your ability, try your best. Even if you fail, you know, you give it your best shot. But he's always emphasized risk taking for all of us.
So how do you manage that risk then? I mean, how do you determine what risks you're going to take?
Yeah, that's a really good question. When I first began the business, one of the things that I realized was that there was a lot of risk exposure in a lot of our projects because it was the Kobayashis and the Kobayashis alone that were guaranteeing the loans and putting in all the equity. So how I added value, one of the ways I added value in the company was I was able to attract outside capital, deeper pockets than us basically, to take majority of the equity and recourse risk in our projects. So that's something I'm very proud of, to be able to manage that risk better, because and things will turn eventually in this real estate market. You don't want to be holding the bag by yourself. So we have good partners.
So what would you give as an example for incentivizing people then? Do you guys have some unique programs that you have installed and that seems to be working?
All of our partners and on the employees are incentivized through profit sharing. We call it the promote structure, whereby the stakeholders put in their money, they invest their money, and they should get their money back in a timely fashion with a return. And then above that return of principal and interest, that there should be some disproportionate sharing of the profits, not based upon ownership. So if an employee has been with us for 10, 15 years, doesn't have the money to put in 10% of the capital, he or she can still get 10% of the profits, should he do really well, she do really well, and the project does well financially.
So how is it working with your brother and sister then? How do you guys determine who does what, your roles, and when it comes down to it, who makes the final decision?
The final decision is with me, with one caveat. That is that my dad is always there. He's always there, and we'll bounce things off him. But ultimately, the buck stops with myself and my partners. Patrick is primarily in charge of asset management. Alana's in charge of marketing and sales, and I'm in charge of finance, acquisitions, deal structure.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.